Welcome, guys. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Yay! And today we're going to be reacting to true. Is it three? I did not even look at it. Three really scary, true pet sitting horror stories. Damn! I can't wait for this one. Yeah. Anyway, please subscribe, turn the notifications, and click the bell beside you. Anyway, let's jump right on to it, shall we? Yee. Okay. If my camera plays up, it's because it's really slow at the moment, so I hope it's not messing up and going and it's freezing every second. I'll link it in the description. I'll write if it's poor audio or not. But yeah. Let's jump right onto it. These are the pets. I do like pets. I love all animals. Little Bubba, little Bubba. Yeah.
When I was in college, I used to house sit for a family for a few years when they would go on their annual family vacations. I've had a handful of other scary, creepy experiences, but the one I want to talk about today was the one that forced me to quit house sitting for them. I was in my 20s and was trying to make ends meet. House sitting was one of the many side hustles I had. The family would be going on a 2-week vacation abroad and wouldn't have any service. So if anything went wrong, I would have to call the police or their relatives, depending on the situation. Please keep in mind that I've already had a few creepy experiences with their house prior to this, but it was never scary enough to deter me because they paid me very well. I used to work at an animal shelter, so I was well versed in animal care, and I knew about cat behavior. This family had 4 cats who were all very well behaved. The first few days, all was well. I slept in the guest bedroom and went to school from their house because they lived close enough to where I could just walk to class and didn't have to pay for parking or bring lunch since I could just go back to their place. Then the issues began after a few days. My boyfriend at the time came over with dinner to keep me company, as he knew I was always a bit freaked out by the house. We sat in the guest bedroom and watched TV for a few hours eating, until he said he needed to go home. Sometimes he'd sleep over, but he told me on this particular night that he had a strong gut feeling he needed to sleep at home. He urged me to go home because that gut feeling he had was really bad. At that point, it was around midnight, and to be honest, I didn't want to go home. To put it bluntly, I have a complicated home life that didn't get along with my parents. The only time I'd get a break from home was the annual house sitting once a year, and I didn't feel like wasting it. My only sibling, who's also my best friend, moved out due to the toxicity, and honestly, home wasn't home without them anymore. I told him that I'll be fine, and I'll lock up after he left. He was still really uneasy, tried to persuade me to go home once again. He tried to explain that while he had slept over before, for some reason tonight the house just felt unsettling. I thought it was because the house was over a century old, but it was just renovated, so I felt better about it. I reminded him that there was a home security alarm that I always set, the neighborhood was safe, and I had 4 friendly cats with me. He reluctantly left and drove home, and that was when it started happening. I shut all the doors and windows, locked everything, and set the security alarm. Once I got comfortable in bed, the TV started to turn on by itself. We were just using the TV, so I thought I accidentally sat on the remote, but I saw the remote on the nightstand. I quickly turned it off. Just as it went off, it turned back on. I thought it was strange since the TV was working perfectly the entire night, but it was even stranger that when the TV turned on by itself, it went to this off channel, like it was just black and white, like it had no signal. So I kept turning it off, and it kept turning on. I began to freak out and unplug the TV entirely. Even though I'd had creepy experiences before in this house, this one had never happened before. I told myself that the house was just renovated. Maybe there were some wiring issues. I still didn't
Or
go home.
maybe,
Went and slept on the couch instead. The next day, my boyfriend came over again.
oh, maybe, just maybe, your house is haunted. And there's a ghost living in your house. Or multiple different spirits. Who bloody knows? All I could say is you and those cats are in danger. No, I'm kidding. It's probably just a harmless spirit. They're probably not here to hurt you, but still, I wouldn't take that chances. I'd be like, nah. I'd be a bit wary of that. You know, I'd probably tell your owner. I'm surprised they didn't tell you like, oh, by the way, our house is haunted, just to let you know. But thanks for looking after our cats while we take a 2 week vacation. It's like maybe maybe just tell them. This story's not that scary so far, but
That night, we had dinner together.
oh no, I hate when I do that. Why did I do that? What was I up to? Uh huh.
Dad is having to deal with my family. That night,
Uh huh.
I told him about what happened the night before, and he told me that I should have just went home. I was pretty freaked out, but honestly, it was still not as bad as having to deal with my family. That night, we had dinner together again and watched a movie in the living room. For this next part, I do have to explain the house structure. The house is 2 floors. There's the first floor where you come in through the front door straight into the living room. And the second floor is actually the basement, which is essentially a big living room with another room that can be used as a spare bedroom. The stairs leading downstairs are incredibly creaky and creepy. I don't understand why they didn't fix it during the renovation. As for the cats, they love to be everywhere and anywhere. They all had the personality where they wanted to be around you, but not necessarily held or cuddled. They were all pretty calm cats that liked quieter environments. Of the 4 cats, there was one cat that was the youngest at around 3 years old, and he was just a bit smaller than the other 3. That night, as we watched the movies, my blood ran cold as I heard sounds from the basement that sounded like an infant crying.
Fuck that.
My boyfriend froze as he slowly turned to look at me, as if signaling to me silently if I heard it too. I remembered from my time working in the animal shelter during my training that sometimes cats sound like babies, especially if they're in duress. As I mentioned earlier, the cats like to be around people and will follow you around the house, but not close enough to cuddle. I counted and only counted 3. The little younger cat was missing. I figured it must be the younger cat and went downstairs to the basement where I found it stuck in the spare room. He was smaller but more energetic than the other cats. He somehow closed the door behind him and was stuck in the room all alone. I carried him up the stairs and we resumed the movie. Mid movie, we did pause it as it was time to feed the cats. The owners had a strict food schedule for their cats. The cat's food station was in the kitchen. The kitchen was the only area that connected to the basement. To best explain the layout of the house, the main entrance connects to the living room. The living room then diverges into 2
Look,
different
Baba,
sections.
look at it.
One connects to the
Look at
kitchen,
it.
the other
Look at this
connects to
one.
3 bedrooms. One being the spare bedroom, a master
Oh,
bedroom, and another bedroom that belongs to the family's.
I love cats so much. Holy jolly. Look at it. Too bad I'm allergic to it. I get really bad allergies. My mom's got a cat named Mouses. But yeah, just a cute. I love cats. My mom's got like a black and white cat. So yeah. I do love cats. I do love dogs as well.
Child, with the living room being connected to the kitchen as well. The kitchen was the connecting area where you must enter it to go to the basement or living room. For these cats, the only time that they didn't want to be around humans was while they were eating and after they ate, as they like to take naps or rest with their full bellies. They like to nap in the master bedroom or the teenager's room, as it smells like their family.
Look, Mama!
They always did this every year that I babysat them, so
Yeah.
it wasn't new. It also wasn't
Yeah.
unusual to not see them for a little bit after mealtime. We finished our movie and went into the kitchen, void of any cats. As we were enjoying dinner, we both once again heard crying noises from the basement. It was naturally louder because we were in the kitchen, which was closer to the basement. I didn't see any cats in the kitchen, and I didn't think to check the living room because I was panicking internally. My boyfriend was visibly creeped out, and I told him I'd check it out since it was likely the cat again. I couldn't help but notice that the cry sounded a little different from earlier. It was more frequent and higher pitched. I turned on the lights to the basement and slowly crept down the stairs, saying the cat's name. With each step, the crying got louder. When I finally made it down, the crying abruptly stopped. I checked the spare room, any crevices, and under the couch. He was nowhere. At that point, I was feeling so scared, I could hear my heartbeat in my head. I don't even go on regular walks. I definitely don't jog, and I absolutely don't run. But I ran up those stairs like my life depended on it. When I got back into the kitchen, I felt my whole body go cold as my heart sank. My boyfriend was standing in the kitchen with a horrid look on his face as all four cats surrounded him. He told me that as I went down the stairs to the crying noises, the four cats came out at the same time from the area where the bedrooms were. No cat had been downstairs the entire time.
Fuck
I
that.
immediately and silently packed up my items, jammed it into my backpack, and we both left the house. For the remaining week, I would only return to the house once a day to clean the litter box and feed them. I know I was going against their eating schedule, but at that point, I really didn't care. After the last day, I locked up, dropped the keys into their hiding spot, thanked them for the opportunity, but that it was my last time, and I never returned. I hated that house, and looking back, the experiences I had each year seemed like it was escalating. I should have stopped much sooner. I still remember calling my sibling during the drive to my parents' house after the incident. I felt even worse when they revealed that they also had their own experience in that house and kept it away from me because they knew I was trying to save money to move out. They didn't want to scare me.
No, 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 no. That was terrifying. I feel like because it could have been just a ghost, or it could have been like a cat that died or whatever. Why is my bedroom door open? Just automatically like opened. Ghost in my house. Yeah, but seriously, like it could have been just a ghost. It could have been just like a, could have been like a cat that died or whatever, and it's. But yeah, it's a bit scary. That was more eerie than scary. That was like probably eeriness. I'll give it a 9.5. Scariness, I'll probably go like a 7, a strong 7. Like it's scary, 6.5, 7. I just didn't think it was like scary, scary. But anyway, I'm glad the cats were nice. That was nice of the cats. I like that. The little bubbers in there. Yeah. I yeah, I would have got out of that house sooner rather than later. I guess you weren't that scared. I love how the boyfriend was at the house. Are you allowed to bring your boyfriend to the house? Did they say that you could bring your boyfriend to the? I have no idea, but I love how was it a he or she? Probably was a she because Mr. Nightmare. Does he have any LGBTQ representation? I mean, it could have been a guy. Went to that guy's house. I don't know. Probably was a girl, but yeah, just interesting. Yeah, it was a good story. I like that, but wasn't that scary. Anyway, such is life. Kelsey, go Kelsey.
First, I'll start off with descriptions of all of those involved. My name is Kelsey. I was 17 years old at the time of this event. I'm 5'3".
Hi
My
Kelsey.
friend Haley's 5'8". My friend Sammy is 5'7". It was March 19th, 2016. I was dog sitting at my mom's friend's house for some extra cash to help me out before going off to college next year. It was a cool spring night. The people I was dog sitting for have a super cool sunroom where my friends and I like to smoke. So I decided to invite two of my other friends over to spend the night and make this whole dog sitting thing more fun. Haley and Sammy were a little older, Haley being 23 and Sammy being 22. They brought over some vodka for us to drink. We hung out for a couple hours, drinking, smoking, laughing, and catching up. Then we start to get a bunch of phone calls. Now, normally this would not be weird, except for the fact that the phone was supposed to be disconnected. We ignore the first couple phone calls, thinking they'll leave a message or a call back in the morning. So it was nearly midnight. The calls were persistent, and we could tell this person was not going to leave us alone until we answered. Sammy decided to answer the phone. There was a man on the line, claiming to have the owner's wallet at a gas station 25 minutes from the house, which did not make sense. This man insisted that we come pick up the wallet now, which we all found extremely odd. After minutes of this man insisting that it was urgent that we come pick up the wallet, Sammy finally got the man to understand that we were not leaving the house, and that we'll get it in the morning. We hung up the phone and all got a weird feeling in our stomachs. We grabbed the dog, Willis, run into the back bedroom.
Why would you
shut all the
answer
lights,
the
and lock the
phone?
door.
Like,
We
it's
all
obviously a trap, Jumbo. Like, seriously. It's obviously a damn trap. They probably set that up. They were in cahoots. They set that up. So now they know you're home. That was the whole point of it, to get you to answer the phone. So they know that the owners are home, or babysitters or whatever. So now they're going to probably steal all your stuff. They're probably going to steal. They're probably, who knows, they're probably going to be evil or whatever. You don't know that. I wouldn't have answered that damn phone. Jeez, you never know. You, you never know what people's intentions truly are until you've walked a mile in their shoes. That's all I've got to say.
already have impaired judgment because of the weed and booze. We talked things out. We decided
Why
we were
having
just being
weed and
paranoid.
booze anyway?
I was just trying to make sure we get the wallet back to the owner safely.
You should be drinking while you're on the
Hours
job.
go by of us drinking and smoking some
17-year
more.
old.
Then we decided to watch a funny movie and make some food to calm down.
Underage drinking. Should put that
We
in
moved
there.
from the sunroom to the living room and pop in the DVD. The sunroom is
I remember DVDs. Oh my gosh.
in the backyard by the pool. The door
We're going so far back. Oh my gosh. Do you remember DVDs? I remember DVDs. I remember the cassette tapes. And I'm like 23 years old. You put them into the car, and that's how you listen to music. So
in the pool in the sunroom does not have a lock on it, but the door that's in between the kitchen living room and the sunroom does not have a dog door for Willis to go out back to go to the bathroom. So we all agreed that, although we were a little spooked by the phone call, we wanted a safe neighborhood, and Willis would bark if anything were to come to the door. Time creeps by. We were laughing on the couches, Haley and I sitting next to each other on one, and Sammy across the room on the other. The clock struck 3 a.m., and that's when things started to get creepy. Remember earlier how we left the lockable door open to the sunroom so that Willis could get outside to pee? That's where he entered from. I'm fully immersed in the comedy, but do you ever get that unexplainable feeling that you're being watched by somebody? That feeling suddenly became overpowering. I turn towards the kitchen and see a dark mass hunched over in the kitchen. I freeze and for a second think I'm seeing things. I watch as this mass reaches up into the cabinet, and that's when I realize there's someone in the house. I nudge Haley's side with my elbow and say real quietly, Haley, I think there's somebody in the house. She looks into the kitchen and screams bloody murder. This dark mass then whips his head around and looks directly at me. We make eye contact, and I felt my entire body tense up. All I could see were his piercing blue eyes contrasting against the orange lamp just below the cabinet on the table. Everything else was covered by his black hoodie, pants, shoes, and gloves. He even wore a ski mask that covered up to his nose and mouth. Sammy then gets up to look at what Haley and I are staring at, and somehow musters up the courage to yell, "Get the fuck out." He calmly closes the cabinet and slowly walks out the sunroom doors. We immediately get up and rush to the corner of the room farthest from where he was crouching and call 911. They arrive 3 minutes later and search the entire apartment, take our statements, and sit outside the house for the rest of the night to see if the intruder would come back. The three of us did not stick around long enough to see if he would. We leave our booze, weed, and my car all at the house with the cops and the dog and head home. We come back the next day to find clothes all throughout the house messed with and crumbs by the doggy door, understandably so Willis wouldn't bark at whoever came in. To this day, we still have no idea who called us and or who came into that house. I have not been back since.
that one's a bit scarier. It was very short. Jeez, not a very long story. Um, yeah, that was very that was a bit scary. I'll give that one an 8. I think that one was that person was probably there to steal things. Probably, possibly an hour and a half, only because he was wearing a hooded mask and that. That one was pretty scary. Whew. Yeah. Maybe next time, you know, be a bit mindful and know what you're surrounded. They're teenagers. They're teenagers. I'm not gonna know any different. 17-year-olds. Remember when I was 17? Anonymous. Yeah, Kelsey should have known better.
I'm 28 years old. I've been an animal lover ever since I was a child, which led to me pursuing a career path that had to do with animals. I'm a veterinary assistant, but for a while I also had a little side gig in which I'd offer the house to animals for people going away on vacation and such. This ranged from cats to dogs to birds. I'd actually house sat entire weekends a few times for people who presumably didn't have any family available to watch them. Being a young female who also already works at a veterinary hospital, most people weren't intimidated by the idea of me staying in their house while they're gone. I wasn't just some random person off the street. My credentials were all over the internet. I got a response to my ad one day from a man named Jeremy seeking my services. He had a 20-something-year-old macaw and a cat that he needed to have watched for a weekend while he went away. He brought up the price right away and offered me $300 for the entire weekend. I accepted that offer because that was a fair deal. I have experience dealing with birds of all types, including macaws, but this would be my first time I'd ever watched one for an entire weekend.
A little
I met
birdie.
Jeremy at his house,
Birds are so
a
smart.
basic, normal corner house for the neighborhood. He was a short man in his late 50s, if I had to guess. He had graying hair and a graying mustache. He seemed very friendly. In my experience, most animal lovers are. After meeting Jeremy, I met his bird Ringo and his cat Casper. Ringo was huge. I'd handled macaws in the past, which I assumed was part of the reason Jeremy hired me. He told me about Ringo's personality and quirks and how to get him to quiet down if he makes noises. Ringo kept saying Daddy's home as Jeremy would handle him. He laughed and said that's what he says when he sees him. Ringo said a few other phrases along with that, all of them 2 or 3 word phrases. After showing me how to clean a cage and everything like that, he showed me the rest of the house and told me how often to feed Casper. He asked that I don't go into any other bedrooms upstairs besides the guest bedroom where I'd be sleeping, which was understandable. There was a bathroom upstairs right next to the bedroom, and he told me I could help myself to his food. However, I'm a vegan, so I brought my own food for the weekend. After all this
Vegan.
and getting to know me a
Vegan
bit,
teacher.
he gave me the key to the house and left. I watched through the window as he drove off, and I was left alone with Ringo and Casper. It was already late in the day at this point, like 8 p.m. It was dark out, so there wasn't much left to do that night. Casper was already fed. Jeremy already left enough food in Ringo's cage for the night. The cage was in the living room in the center of the house, right next to the TV. So I turned on the TV and plopped down on the couch. Casper was hiding somewhere in the house out of sight. Ringo was just sitting in the cage watching me. After a couple of hours of watching TV and eating my little dinner, I went to bed. No reason to stay up super late. I slept with the bedroom door open, and I woke up in the middle of the night to a sound. The best way I could describe it was 2 loud cracking sounds. I sat up and listened for a second. Nothing. So I lay back down and went back to sleep. There was a giant bird in the cage downstairs. Hearing sounds was not unexpected. The next day was pretty easy. I cleaned up Casper's litter box, fed him,
Is
and
that
fed
Casper?
Ringo. I let Ringo out to play for a couple of hours. He perched on the back of the couch behind me as I watched TV. Jeremy told me that Casper and Ringo typically ignore each other, so I wouldn't have to worry about one attacking the other. Fast forward a few hours, and I left the house to go explore the area a little bit. I went for a walk in the park and FaceTimed a couple of my friends. I did a little driving around too, picked up some food for dinner that night before returning to the house. It was around 7 o'clock when I returned. I interacted with the pets for a couple of hours as I ate my dinner and watched TV. Jeremy was supposed to be returning home late tomorrow. Called it a night early again. I went to sleep with the door open again. However, once again,
No,
there was no
no,
sound.
no,
This time, I believe it was
no. What? I don't sleep with my door open. I close my door. I lock it. Even though my house is pretty safe where I live, I haven't had many Although I had a pharmacist that barged into my house and just like some old person, some 7-year-old person, like pharmacist, whatever, getting my description, my pills description, just barged into my house and just like took like said, "Here's your medication." I'm like, "Buds, you can't like trespass into people's homes. You have to knock and you have to wait at the door. Like that's not okay." I had to write a report about it because that's not okay. Like, what if like I wasn't home and you just barged into my house and there was nobody home? Or like, let's say like let's I don't want to get demonetized, but let's just say like I was having private moment or something, or I had somebody at home. Well, let's just say like anything. You can't just barge into people's homes. Sorry, I had to vent there. Yeah, just like shit like that. Like, and this is why I lock my door every time because of shit like this happening. Yeah, no.
Sound of the bedroom door closing.
Anyway, I need to go back to it.
Night early again. I went to sleep with the door open again.
Jeez.
However, once again, I woke up to a sound. This time, I believe it was the sound of the bedroom door closing. I looked up, saw that the bedroom door was now closed. While the windows were open, there was little to no wind to create a draft. This was weird. I also could hear sounds from downstairs. It sounded like Ringo moving about in his cage, talking. I got out of my bed to check on him and make sure he's okay. As I was walking down the stairs, I heard him talking more clearly. I got to the cage and saw he was wide awake and walking around. I remember what Jeremy told me to do to get him to quiet down. Hand him a particular treat. I dug into the bag to grab one, but then he said the phrase, "Daddy's home." I
Fuck
found that
that.
odd and slightly unsettling. I put a treat in front of Ringo's face and he grabbed it. This ultimately did end up getting him to stop making noise, but it still felt weird that he'd wake up in the middle of the night. I went back to the bedroom and left the door open. I fell back asleep, and I shit you not, I woke up once again, maybe a little more than an hour later. This time I didn't hear what woke me up, but I looked up in the room in a daze, and in the near pitch black darkness of the
Fuck
room,
that.
I saw a black mass in the center of the room, moving away from the bed and out the door. I sat up and almost screamed until I fully came to. I now had to wonder if what I just saw was a hallucination or not. I grabbed my phone to turn on the flashlight, but on the screen, I saw I had gotten a text from Jeremy around an hour ago. It was him telling me that if Ringo makes noises in the middle of the night, it's normal and to ignore it. I stared at my screen, rereading the text at least 10 times. That text was sent conveniently around the same time I got up to give Ringo a treat. I felt ill all of a sudden. That black mass in the room I just saw. What if that were real? What if it wasn't a hallucination? I got out of bed and turned on the lamp. I started packing my bag as quickly as possible. I didn't bring many clothes, so I was packed very quickly. I quietly went to the bathroom next to grab all my toiletries quick, and then I tiptoed back out of the bathroom. I was in the near pitch black upstairs hallway with all the bedroom doors. I looked down the hallway. I could swear I heard the faintest sound coming from one of the bedrooms. I don't know why, but this overwhelming curiosity almost hypnotized
Fuck
me.
that.
I crept down the
This
hall
one's the
until I finally
scariest
looked
so
in the
far.
master bedroom. I put my ear up close to the door.
Fuck that.
I heard a rattling sound.
Oh,
It sounded like a bed rocking. He was in there,
fuck no.
but he would creep. I knocked on the door and said, "Jerry, are you in there?" The rocking sound stopped. There was now dead silence. I repeated myself, and this time said, "If you're in the house, I need to know right now before I leave." Still silence. I left the house in a hurry, leaving the key on the table, and I didn't look back. On my drive home, I sent him a long voice text saying I'm considering reporting this to the authorities as some sort of stalker or breach of privacy situation, and that I was extremely disturbed that he was in the house. He immediately tried calling me 3 times, but I was honestly too scared to pick up. He then sent me a text apologizing, stating that his brother unexpectedly came home that night. I knew it was complete horseshit. I demanded he just pay me and I won't pursue this any further. He sent me a payment via Zelle, and that was that. I hate to even mention this part, but the next day, I realized I was missing a certain article of clothing from my bag that I know for a fact was grabbed out of my bag by him.
Fuck that.
I've largely chosen to block this memory out. This will be the first and last time I ever write a detailed recounting of this experience.
Yeah, no. No. Um, nope. That is not, that is, a very scary. Um, I'd, I'd I'd say about a 9 out of 10, 9.5, 9. I'll go a 9 out of 10. Because he wasn't under your bed or something, or standing on top of your bed. But that's very disturbing. Hell no. Imagine that person opened the door and they saw that person standing there. Oh, hell no. No, not today. Not today. That one was very disturbing. That one sent chills down my spine. Hell no. Just hell no. That was my reaction to three really scary, true pet sitting horror stories by none other than Mr. Nightmare himself. Yeah, that was terrifying. Hell no, I had chills, man. I had chills. Like, instant. Like, hell no. That last story was the worst one. The first one wasn't really scary because it could have been a ghost or something. That's not scary at all. But, those other two stories with those other people, hell no. Like, no, no. Especially the last one where it was the owner who's the creep. The owner was the one stalking you. Sick. Nah. That bird saved your life. That bird saved your life. I felt bad for that bird. That bird was probably brainwashed. She's like, "Daddy's home." I'd been like, "Hell no!" I was like, if that bird says "Daddy's home," I'm out. I'm walking out this house, and I literally was gonna walk out of my room. But I was like, I'm gonna be a brave person. I'm not gonna do this. But hell no! When that bird said "Daddy's home," oh hell no! I had instant chills all down my body. Hell no! And that other person, when you answered the damn phone, they obviously wanted to know if you were home or that. They're probably stalking you too. Or they're probably stealing stuff. Like, no, no, I would have been gone. Instantly. Um, and what was the first one with the ghost? Like the cat. I would have left instantly. I would have been like, fuck this shit, I'm out. Peace. Not looking back. Just like, yeah, no. But the last story with Daddy's home by the parrot, no, no, no. Been gone. I would have been gone instantly. No question asked. But yeah, no, they were good. They were good. I like that. Mr. Night, Mr. Mr. Nightmare never disappoints. But yeah. Anyway, please subscribe, turn the notification, and click the bell beside you. I love you guys so much. Mwah! Thanks for watching. Bye.